All right, let's get right into it. Something really fundamental is changing in education. And it all starts in a place we all know, science class. Hey, take a second and think back. What was your science class like? For a lot of us, right, it was all about memorizing facts, cramming formulas, and just getting through the next test. But what if it could be something completely different? Well, that's exactly what's going on. There's this whole new vision for what learning should be. And honestly, it's built on a totally different foundation. And listen, this isn't some small, isolated experiment. We're talking about a massive, nationwide shift happening in India. It's all being guided by a brand new roadmap for what education should look like. So, what's this roadmap? It's the National Education Policy of 2020, or NEP. And its main goal? It's actually pretty simple, but wow, it's powerful. The whole idea is to move away from just, rote memorization and start building real-world skills. Things like critical thinking and, just being curious. I love the wording here. It's not about just throwing everything out. The goal is to find a judicious balance. A sweet spot between a teacher explaining things and giving students the space to explore and figure things out for themselves. It's the best of both worlds. Okay, so how does a big idea like this actually land in a real classroom? Well, you've got to start with the basics, right? The textbook. And this one, well, you've got to meet it. And here it is. Meet Curiosity. This is the new science textbook for grade 8. And it was literally built from the ground up to be the change we've been talking about. It's not just a book. It's more like an invitation to explore. And just look at this mission statement from the director of NCERT. Fun, engaging, and meaningful. I mean, think about that. Those 3 words alone are a huge step away from the dusty old science books most of us remember, right? So here's the bottom line. The whole philosophy is flipped on its head. It's not about just passively reading anymore. It's about learning by asking. That's the real game changer. But how does a book, a physical book, get you to ask questions? Well, it has to give you the right tools to go out and discover things for yourself. So inside Curiosity, you're not just going to find chapters. No way. You get these awesome sections like Think Like a Scientist, Be a Scientist, and my personal favorite, Keep the Curiosity Alive. The titles themselves are a call to action. They're verbs. They're telling you to do something, not just read something. And get this, it's totally plugged into today's world. You'll find these QR codes all over the book. You just scan one with your phone, and boom. It opens up interactive videos, puzzles, games, all sorts of stuff. It lets every kid explore at their own pace, which is just fantastic. Oh, and these Be a Scientist sections are so cool. They have these little biographies of real scientists from India and all over the globe. It just makes it all so much more real, It connects the science to actual people, giving kids some amazing role models to look up to. See, this is the key. It's not about learning about science, it's about actually doing science. The book walks you through the whole process, how to ask a good question, how to set up a simple experiment, how to really observe what's happening, and then how to think critically about what you just saw. And all of this, it leads to something so much bigger. The whole point isn't just to get a good grade on a test. It's about fundamentally shaping the way you think about the world. This right here is the ultimate goal. The book aims to build what's called a scientific temper, which is really just a fancy way of saying a logical, rational way of looking at things. Plus, humanism and that drive to always ask questions and try to make things better. It's huge. And this kind of learning, man, it builds the skills that actually matter in the 21st century. We're talking about creativity, logical thinking, and the ability to make good decisions. Stuff you're going to use for your entire life, not just for one exam. And at the end of the day, it's bigger than just science class. The real goal is to help shape the next generation of citizens, to help kids become responsible and thoughtful people who can actually think for themselves. Which brings me to what might be the coolest, most powerful part of this whole thing. It's what you find on the very last page of the textbook. Seriously, think about this. Every single textbook you've ever owned probably had the end on the last page. It was a finish line. But this one? The last page says, it's never the end, my friend. How amazing is that? It completely reframes what learning is all about. It's not a race with a finish line. And that just leaves us with this final thought, right? What if learning isn't a destination you arrive at? What if it's a lifelong journey? A journey fueled by one simple thing, just staying curious.
what if that's the real point of it all?